There you are again. Here I am again. John Augustine. After a busy enough day, um, after visiting the church or the church grounds and do the station at the cross there in Oldcastle, where there's outside grounds, the station at the cross, and there was a sun there, sunny, but it was chilly. But I took off my hat, but because you're in the sun, you let to get the sun at yourself. But I had my overcoat on and the scarf. I was in the station at the cross. I remember one time doing them when there was frost, and some of them you couldn't see. You just had to use the upstairs department to figure out where it was. They were frosted over, but I was able to kind of know them from doing them so often. I know them nearly off by heart. And it was so after that, um, I had I had a bite to eat. Had me din dins, and early enough, and I do a bit of exercise before that, and physiotherapy type of stuff that I after that I actually had in Medjugorje some last October, 12 months, and it's a great help, and I'm able to a lot better than I was when I wound up in a wheelchair for a few for a couple of weeks of the holiday, or 10 days rather, and even coming back was in a wheelchair in the airport and that, and had a tough time until I got my sister sent tablets. Had that got a good night's sleep, which I didn't before that. I had to get up, but the physiotherapy did a great job that I did. I'm just mentioning that as you keep your faith. You don't um, you don't just give up just because of that. And this, when it happened in the church in Medjugorje where people go in to be cured, and I was in and the other way. But that's the life. And funny enough, when I fell, I didn't. I opted off in sorrow for my own sins and for the Holy Souls in Purgatory. That was just something that because you're trying to do your best. And it was after doing the outside stations at the cross of Medjugorje. They're fine big ones, but I didn't meet anyone at the old timers that was on the bus. I don't know where they went, but right at the station at the cross, normally you'd meet some of them, but I didn't meet one of them. Anyways, I told that before, so I won't go into it. So, confession. Did you ever see that film one time? I Confess. It was a kind of what I call a sad film, and I confess that kind of it's like would you be going into confession, you'd be confessing your sins in so long since your last confession. In my case, usually every month, and so but the film that I saw years ago, I didn't like it. It had a it was nothing to do with that. It was a sad old film, and I like a suspense film like Alfred Hitchcock. I saw one there this evening. Um, what's this? People Will Talk or something it was called, and Cary Grant was in it, and some other one. It was a lovely story. He was a doctor. He was a good actor. He was very credible. And then there was another doctor there, a fella perhaps spent his time looking at books. Three looking lads, You get different types, don't you? I like a doctor that talks, not be gawking at books and looking at laptops to engage. Let's talk, I think the doctor that can talk does more good than looking at books or computers or whatever to try to figure out what you have. In that sense, just keeping the records, but you get blue in the face. They used to have it all written or something and in files and that, and there was something good about that, I always thought. So, and oftentimes then somebody tells you something private. and don't repeat it. They nearly like telling you something that occurred in their lives and all the rest of it. And sometimes what occurred in their lives, and they know what occurred in your lives, and so you're telling them you're not confessing in that sense, but you're sharing something, and that's oftentimes what it's all about. But that is, of course, you have the sacrament of confession, and quite frankly, that's one of the most important and the great gifts that we have. There's a tractor going down the dark. You can hear it, and sometimes you think somebody is flushing a toilet. It often sounds like that. But what they're going down the dark for is a mystery to me, because it's dark. And they often seem to be driving around, and you wonder what they're driving around for half the time, because they're not on their farm. And it was a time you'd see a lot of people on farms, just just in here the tractor. But now you don't see anybody, and you don't see one kids playing around and helping out in the farm and that. It's strange, isn't it? There was much more when they didn't have so much of this modern business where everybody is living isolated in some senses, and that they have all their necessities, and so you don't have the visitors the way you used to have years ago. When I was growing up, there was visitors always coming in and out, and you have a cup of tea, somebody would say. But I'm digressing now, as I say, I'm talking about confession. So these are the things and that you would have experienced, and depending on where you are, and if you're a Catholic, and depending on what experience you have in your particular parish. And a lot of parishes, unfortunately, nowadays in this country, confessions are not as widely available as they should be, which is once a week, for at least an hour in the church. And it should be preached about the importance of it and come at Mass, I think, so that people then are made aware of it. If you don't say something, people think then these things are not important. But they are, and I'm surprised that the priests don't speak about it more often, and not alone the priests, but the bishops, to instruct the priests to have the sacrament of confession, especially after every Mass. So this is where I'm talking about confession. And maybe in your church, hopefully it's every week, and the priest mentions it, and so on and so forth, and people avail of it. But I know, and for example, in Knock, there's priestess confessions every day in the church, in one of the churches there, and there's often several priests depending on what day it is and how many people are in Knock. And there's often several priests there holding confession. And so you can get your confession there and make a general confession, which is a great gift in that particular Knock. And God be good to it. Funny enough, I got even confession with an English priest in Lourdes a couple of times when I was there. And one time with a novelist of Mary Immaculate that was from Canada, because I spent a few years in a boarding school and it was the Oblates of Mary Immaculate. And by the way, they have a parish in Dublin in Inchicore this year's. They operate that particular church, and they're the priests in that parish. And they're a religious order and think about obedience, chastity, and poverty. In other words, they don't have any of the good of this world, and which is a good thing. That they're not saddled with money, 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 as nourishing the faith. So they do a good job. So bye now, and I hope our little talk was helpful to some. Bye now, and I'll see you in the morning with our prayers and all the rest of it. Bye now.